Republicans know that they didn't suppress enough of the vote in 2020. If they had suppressed enough of the vote in November, Trump would be president right now instead of Joe Biden. So Republicans have launched a nationwide voter suppression effort. It's already underway with 253 different bills in 43 states. Many of these bills premised on false claims that Donald Trump actually won the 2020 election. Now, you have to give them credit. They see the problem and they're trying to fix it. The problem is record voter turnout in November gave the election to Joe Biden. As they see it, too many people voted. So the solution is to prevent people from voting. Now, all of these bills in some way attempt to restrict voting and ballot access. The Brennan Center for Justice has a great analysis on this, and the playbook includes strategies we're familiar with. Make it more difficult to register to vote by banning voter registration. That's automatic. By shortening registration windows. That's one part of the playbook. Purge voters from voter rolls so they believe they're registered, they show up and they're not. You can do that by putting in place looser and looser guidelines for when people can be unregistered and removed from voter rolls. Third part, make voter ID requirements stricter and stricter, which we know disproportionately impacts poorer people. Now, how do they do this? The way you do it, it's almost evil genius. In order to get the voter ID is free, as they say. But in order to get the voter ID, you require more and more documents that you have to bring with you to be given the voter ID. And these are documents which poorer people are less likely to have. People with more housing instability are less likely to have retained. And some of the documents you need to get your free voter ID cost money to get. OK, and they're documents that take time to get when people can't afford to take time off from work to deal with bureaucracy. So that's how you deal with this, quote, problem of too many people voting through voter ID. Another approach is you add elements of voter intimidation to voting. You increase poll watchers, that type of thing. A few examples. Georgia Senate Republicans have introduced a bill that would end no excuse absentee voting entirely, meaning you can't just say, I want to vote absentee because I want to. They restrict the reasons that you can give to vote absentee. Georgia House Republicans have their own sweeping bill, which would reduce the early voting period. Again, just shorten the number of days people can vote. Montana Republicans want to end same-day voter registration. Missouri Republicans want a new voter ID requirement. New Hampshire Republicans want to ban out-of-state college students from voting in New Hampshire, and they want to end same-day registration. Iowa Republicans already approved a bill that would shorten voting hours, on and on and on. Now, at the same time that there are bills proposed to limit voting, there are also bills proposed mostly by Democrats to expand voting access, and hopefully some of those will pass. But Republicans aren't even pretending. They haven't been pretending for a long time. They openly want to win, not by winning the hearts and minds of people with policies that voters will like. They want to win by making it hard to vote, disproportionately for people that are statistically more likely to vote for Democrats. At some point, and I believe that that point is now, the only way to deal with this is to pass national election reform and to pass it in a way that it overrides state limitations that Republicans want to impose and to prevent the next president from just undoing it. Easier said than done. But is there any better time to do it than when Democrats control the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives for at least the next 2 years? The time to do it has to be now, and we'll be talking more about what that effort could look like in the future. Find me on Twitter at Pakman. Let me know your thoughts on this massive dump of voter suppression bills across the country from Republicans.